Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to show you guys my version of the new cake trend going around called the Faultline Cake. I wanted to do mine using geodes just because I think it makes a beautiful cake. And so what I decided to do was take 4 8-inch rounds, of course fill them and stack them and get them ready to be decorated. And I have seen some people take, for example, a bigger layer on top, maybe an 8-inch, and then in between, in the middle layers, use a 6-inch, so they have a little bit of a deeper gap where their fault line is going to be. However, I didn't want a deep gap going around the entirety of the cake, so I just cut out a little bit where I wanted to put the bigger geodes in the front of the cake. So I took that, carved that out. The back of the cake, I am going to still leave a fault line, but I didn't want it to be so deep inside the cake, because I'm going to be creating that with gold. So you want to go ahead and put your first layer of buttercream on. I used a black buttercream because I wanted to do a black, teal, and gold color scheme. However, if you were using a lighter colored buttercream, you might want to take this and make a couple coats around it just so you don't see any crumbs through your buttercream. And when you are doing your first coat of buttercream, you do want to make sure that you have it as smooth as possible, because when you go back to add your fault line and you're trying to build up your buttercream to create that fault line, you don't want to have, you won't be able to get back in there and smooth that out if you have any, air bubbles or anything like that. So take your time, get it as smooth as you can, and then concentrate on your fault line. So for right here, I did put the inside with a light colored buttercream, a white, just because I was using white rock candy and I didn't want to have the black kind of seeing through behind it. So I didn't feel like putting these on one by one. It just took way too long. So I decided to do it how everybody does the sprinkles and pile them up and kind of press them into the cake. You do want to make sure that you're doing this part when your buttercream is freshly put on, because if you wait and your buttercream starts to crust up, then they won't stick very well. So of course some are going to fall off in the process of this. That's totally fine. Geode cakes are very forgiving, and you can always just clean up your cake board, pick up the extra ones, and if you see any little gaps in between the buttercream, just place them to kind of fill those spaces. So again, once you have your geodes placed, you want to make sure, take a quick double check before you start those fault lines and make sure that the buttercream is smooth. And then you're going to begin building your fault. So the good thing about a fault line cake is that it's very forgiving and you can really do whatever you want with it. So some people have done like straight lines. You can totally do that. That's fine. You can bake it as thin or wide as you want. I like mine to be a little bit more rustic looking and not so straight edged. I kind of like a little bit more crooked in dimension to my lines. I also was trying to concentrate on building the top up because I wanted to have a little overhang on the top for me to add more geodes and more gold kind of coming around that lining of the top. So take your time, put on thick dollops of buttercream. The more deep your fault looks, I think that the better the cake looks. It just gives it more dimension. So of course it's going to look a little bit sloppy at this process, but it will come together. And for mine, I only had a 6-inch bench scraper. If you have a longer one, it's probably just going to make your cake go by a little bit faster, because you can take the whole thing and line it up to the top and the bottom fault line, press it in and go around. For me, I didn't have the option with this, so I just used my 6-inch and concentrated on the bottom fault line first and created it real smooth, went around. If you want to add more, if you feel like some places are too low, you can always add more, make it get a little bit more dimension, more curve to it. So get that as smooth as you would like it, and then go ahead and concentrate on the top. Another tip I have is if you are smoothing out your buttercream and for some reason this batch has a little bit more air bubbles or it's just not coming as smooth as you'd like it to be, a trick that I use is I like to take my bench scraper, hold it under some super hot water, and go kind of slow as you're turning your cake spinner, and it helps melt down that buttercream and get out a lot of those air bubbles, and it gives it just a much smoother look. So see how I'm dragging this around, and it kind of pushes that edge out, the ledge at the top, but then also where the fault line is, it pushes it down, it gives it some creativity in that look, and it makes it really smooth, and it just comes out for such an awesome cake. And there are so many ways that you could do a fault line cake. I've seen people put sprinkles, I've seen people put fruits in between, buttercream flowers. Like really, there's no limit to what you can do with this type of cake. I'm so happy for whoever created this trend. And so right now I'm just kind of smoothing out the top and making sure that my overhang at the top is thick because I wanted to put quite a lot of gold, but not too much. So I kind of took my offset spatula in the middle also on the top and just brung it in a little bit and then continued to smooth until I got it the way that I wanted it to be. So now I'm going to go ahead and start painting my geodes. So what I used was some food grade alcohol and a little bit of teal food coloring. And you want to only put a tiny drop of that food coloring with kind of a little bit more of alcohol, because the geodes always start out lighter in color in the middle and they darken up around the edge. So by the time that you're done kind of painting the middle, your vodka should start evaporating, making that color a little bit more deeper. If not, just give it a quick dip back into that color and then continue painting the cake. Make sure you do go around all those ledges. You don't want to leave any white, especially when you're working on a geode cake. And then if you want to lighten up the middle, if you feel like it's just a little bit too dark, you can get a clean paintbrush, dip it into that vodka, and just kind of pat that middle out. And what that will do is kind of suck out some of that paint so that it just loosens it up a little bit. So then you have more of that variation from the light to the dark. If any of your geodes fall out, don't stress, just put them back in place, put it in the fridge for 10 minutes. It'll firm up that buttercream a little bit and make it a little bit easier for you to work on. So right here, I have used tons of different golds, but this specific gold is one of my favorites, and I probably won't ever go back to another one, to be honest. This gold is thick, it dries like gold leaf. It's a very good texture. You don't have to keep going over it over and over again until it looks thick, because it just covers anything. Look how well it covered this black just literally in one pat. So I decided to take my gold, go around the edge on the top, and then for the back of the geode, this is where I wanted to make mine a little bit different. I took the front and made it the geode, and the back I wanted it to be kind of gold all the way around the back of that cake coming into that geode. And then I went ahead and added, I think I did add a little bit more of the geodes kind of coming into that gold section just to give it some color variation. But then I added that gold to every ledge that was around the geodes, around where the gold is on the ledge, just so it gave it a little bit more of that 3D motion going on. Now, of course, I chose to use gold, but there is some actual really good edible food paint that comes out pretty thick also as well. It's already pre-mixed together. You can just squirt it into something, dip your paintbrush, and begin painting. And you can really use any color that you want. They have tons of different colors, teals, silvers, metallics, chromes, like anything that you want, and be as creative as you want with this cake. And of course, some of the styles that I've seen in this cake are just amazing, and I just actually can't wait to make my next one because it was just such a fun cake. Now for my gold, I don't like mine to be so straight edged, which is why I gave my fault line a little bit more curve, and then I wanted to bring some of the parts of my gold out a little bit just to give it some more contrast. I love the look of a dark colored cake with a light color in it, and then either a gold or silver added. It just gives it so much dimension, and it just makes a beautiful, beautiful cake. So for the back, I decided that I wanted to do one geode coming out from the bottom, and then another one coming down from the top. Again, same teal green, and then I just went around the edges and painted some more of that gold all the way around, and all of the top, I decided to add a couple more geodes to that as well. So of course, this is optional. You don't have to do this. This is just what I chose to do. You can do whatever you want. I did place these one by one just because I didn't want too many on there. If I would have put them in my hand and just kind of popped them on the cake, I wanted them to be a little bit more placed. So get your color in there, take that gold, put it around. The gold that I used, I will put the link in the description below, but it's by the brand Sunflower, and I totally recommend this to anybody who's watching this video right now. You have to try it. You will never go back to another gold. So what you want to do is continue the gold wherever you want to put it. You could have left this part right here completely black because it actually gave it a cool look as well, just because the gold was kind of behind and underneath that black buttercream. I just kind of got a little bit gold carried away and just kept going. So now for the top, I wanted to have a little bit more of that teal color up there as well. I had a lot of fun making this cake, if you can tell. So I decided to take some more of those sugar crystals and put them up on the top. Now, sugar crystals, I ordered mine in a bag on Amazon. They came in different shapes and sizes. If you don't have that option, or you're kind of in a hurry making some kind of geode cake, you can go to Party City or one of your local candy stores, and usually they'll have the rock candies on the stick. I don't know if you'll get them in white, but usually they have pinks and blues and purples, and you can always just get those, break them off the sticks, and use those as well. And then just add a little bit of whatever the color is, darken it up around the edges. Well, I really hope that you guys enjoyed my version of a Geode Faultline cake. If you have any questions, comment below, and feel free to subscribe, ring that notification bell to catch more of my videos. And thank you so much for watching.